In the headlines, President Buhari orders FEC members with political ambitions to resign. APC presidential aspirant Adamu Garba withdraws from race after raising 83.2 million naira in donations. Bomb explosion rocks Jalingo metropolis in Taraba. And on the foreign scene, Israeli forces kill Al Jazeera journalist Shirin Abu Akleh on assignment in Jenin in the occupied West Bank. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. The news in detail. President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered all members of the Federal Executive Council contesting elective positions in 2023 to resign on or before Monday, May 16, 2022. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, announced this Wednesday while briefing State House reporters on the outcome of the Federal Cabinet meeting presided over by the President at the Council chambers of the Presidential Villa in Abuja. He said only Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, as an elected official, was exempted. The minister said he did not have the mandate to talk on the fate of other political appointees who are also vying for elective positions but are not members of the cabinet.
Office, either be it president or governor or National Assembly, must resign from cabinet effectively by the 16th, which is Monday of this month.
The House of Representatives on Wednesday amended Section 84, subsection 8A of the Electoral Act 2022 to enable statutory delegates participate in political parties, congresses, and other conventions. The current Electoral Act, which was assented to by President Muhammadu Buhari in February this year, prevents statutory delegates from taking part in party primaries. The Senate had on Tuesday amended the same section to allow statutory delegates take part in political parties, congresses, and conventions. The amendment followed the consideration and passage of a bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act number 13, 2022, and related matters HB 1984, as presented by the House Leader Alhassan Ado Doguwa at an emergency plenary session summoned by the House. Statutory delegates include councillors, local government chairmen and vice chairmen, political party chairmen in all the 774 local government areas, state and federal lawmakers, governors and their deputies, president and vice president, political parties, national working committee members, state party chairmen and secretaries. In the same vein, Nigerian Senate has amended for a third time the Electoral Act 2022 to include provisions which enable statutory delegates to vote at the congresses or conventions of political parties. This followed the expeditious consideration of a bill during plenary which scaled first, second and third readings and was passed during plenary by the chamber for consideration by the Committee of the Whole. The report.
Those identified as statutory delegates include the President, the Vice President, members of the National Assembly, governors and their deputies, members of the State Houses of Assembly, chairmen of council, councillors and National Working Committee of political parties, among others. The bill to amend the 2022 Electoral Act No. 13 was sponsored by the Deputy Senate President Ovi Omo Agege. Omo Agege, in his presentation, said the bill seeks to amend the provision of Section 84, subsection 8 of the Electoral Act. According to him, the provisions of the section do not provide for the participation of what is generally known as statutory delegates in the conventions, congresses, or meetings of political parties.
My profound pleasure to have the privilege of leading the debate on this very important bill, which seeks to amend the Electoral Act 2022 to make provision for delegates who not been elected ad hoc delegates as prescribed in the constitution of a political party and the Electoral Act to participate in the convention, congress, or meeting of the party.
Supporting the amendment, a cross-section of lawmakers said Without the amendment, most of them will not have the opportunity of voting during the conventions.
Mr. President, I think this is a very straightforward and very simple amendment, because without this amendment, most of us would not have the liberty of voting during the party's convention. But having said that, Mr. President, we still have a lot of sections in the Electoral Act that we need to look into.
This error, which led to us coming back to look at the correction, was something that happened inadvertently. I don't think it was the intendment of this Halo chamber, neither was it the intendment of those who perfected the document to send to Mr. President. But I believe in the course of a work like this, things like this are bound to happen. And I think this one is no less one of them. And that is why we are trying to do this amendment to ensure that what the political parties are known to do by allowing statutory delegates, in addition to the delegates that will be elected by the various political parties, constitute the electoral college for all the elections that we talk about.
Speaking after passage of the bill, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawal, explained that the amendment became imperative in view of the deficiency created by the provision of Section 84, Subsection 8 of the Extant Act before the party primary starts in the next 8 days.
A bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act 2022 and for other matters connected thereto 2022 third reading taken. And the bill is passed. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Let me explain a little bit what we have done. The Electoral Act of 2022, or the amended Electoral Act of 2022 that we passed this year, has a deficiency that was never intended, and that deficiency will deny all statutory delegates in all political parties from participation in congresses and conventions.
The National Assembly has to finish with the processing of the amendment on the bill on Tuesday, in the Senate Wednesday in the House of Representatives, while the executive is expected to give assent within the week.
People's Democratic Party says it is certain that the party will return to power come 2023 general elections. Some stakeholders of the party stated this in Kaduna at the North Central Zone Convention in Kaduna. They noted that performance of the current administration is below average, as manifested in the area of insecurity in the country.
The prime time has been fixed about 2 or 3 times, but elections were conducted due to one reason or the other. Some due to court injunction, some due to misbehavior and what have you in the Congress. So today we have witnessed the Congress at our second place, and election has been conducted. So consensus is very good in politics. It's part of the rule of law in politics. It's only that when there is no consensus, the end result is to go for a vote.
This Congress has shown that PDP in Northwest is united. We are united, we are strong, and we are getting strong and stronger by the day. And by God's grace, we are going to win Northwest PDP come 2023 by the grace of God. I am talking about winning the general election come 2023. By God's grace, we will start with the governorship in all the 7 states of Northwest. By God's grace, PDP is going to win the 7 states of the Northwest.
Including your state, sir?
Including my state, Katsina. Because Katsina will be the first state to be announced by God's grace in 2023. PDP has won already in Katsina State.
Still in politics, an All Progressives Congress presidential aspirant, Adamu Garba, has withdrawn from contesting in the party's presidential primary. Briefing newsmen in Abuja, Garba said he is withdrawing from the race due to the high cost of obtaining the APC expression of interest and nomination forms for the presidency and the cost of running for the political office. According to him, pegging the presidential form at 100 million naira will promote financialization and commercialization of the country's political space. Garba said his decision is not to obtain the APC presidential forms followed due consultation with his campaign team, which he noted had generated 83.2 million naira in private and online donations. While noting that the funds will be returned to the donors, Garba said his next political move would be announced in the coming days. Publisher of Blueprint Newspapers Limited, Muhammad Idris Malagi, has said he would work from his first hour in office as governor to achieve his agenda of a greater Niger state if given the mandate. Malagi addressed the media while submitting his nomination and expression of interest forms to APC executives at the International Conference Center, Abuja. He said Niger State was by far one of the frontline states in Nigeria, given its abundant human and natural resources, and promised to unleash the capacity of the people of the state to propel it higher.
I've discovered the various challenges that our great people have. Of course, there are also hope for great opportunities, and so we have analyzed all, and we are bringing all to the table in the interest of our communities, in the interest of our government, in the interest of Nigeria. We shall make Nigeria great. We shall make Niger State great by God's grace. There is so much planned for in terms of security. As you know, Niger is one of those states that are facing serious problems of security. We have great plans for them. We're going to work in collaboration with security agencies, in collaboration with other government, state governments, in collaboration with the federal government to ensure that our peace return to our communities, peace return to our state, peace return to Nigeria.
On education, President of Senate Ahmed Lawan says the 2009 agreement signed by the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities is unrealistic and not implementable. Lawan has therefore appealed to the striking members of ASU to call off the industrial action for the sake of the students. The Senate President stated this at a meeting between the leadership of the National Association of Nigerian Students and some principal officers of the Senate on Tuesday at National Assembly Complex, Abuja. The report.
The hope of seeing an end to the 3-month-old strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, is dashed as the union extended industrial action by another 12 weeks, starting from this Monday, the 9th of May. The meeting between the leadership of the National Association of Nigerian Students (NANS) and some principal officers of the Senate on Tuesday at the National Assembly Complex, Abuja, therefore became imperative. The national president of NANS, Comrade Sunday Asenfo, advised on the danger in the unending strike and what it portends for the education sector. The Nigerian students are therefore asking the federal government to find lasting solution to the crisis.
We want you to help us to intervene in this matter. We understand that the President Muhammadu Buhari is busy. But you know, seeing you today, we have seen the President Muhammadu Buhari. And our message is so short and clear. Nigerian students, we want to go back to class. We want our university to be open. We want this issue to be resolved. We want the ASU and federal government to go back to the negotiation table.
Responding, the Senate President Ahmed Lawan confirmed that the agreement reached with ASU in 2019 is no longer realistic in view of the current economic realities. ASU is therefore asked to reason along the line with the federal government.
I don't like the 2009 agreement because it's not a practical, it's not a realistic agreement. Somebody just wanted ASU to go back to the classrooms and just sign everything there. ASU may not like to hear what I'm saying, but this is the truth. We must understand that there are things that when we promise, we should do, or we must do. And it's government fault to sign things that it knew was going to be difficult to implement.
Students of the University of Ilorin have staged a protest calling on the federal government to yield to the demands of the striking Academic Staff Union of Universities. The protest, which was held in front of the university gate without hindering vehicular movement, followed the 3-month strike extension by ASU. Armed with placards, the students are particularly unhappy that the federal government has allowed the strike to go unabated. They said that they are tired of sitting at home and called on the government and ASU to come to an amicable resolution in the interest of the nation. The students threatened to shut down the country should the federal government and ASU refuse to resolve the issue by next week.
We are spending over 80 days at home, courtesy the lingering ASU strike. And that is why the leadership of the Students' Union University of Ilorin have sat back, consulted, and decided to stage a protest where we can inform the federal government and the respective ministers via social media to let them know that we are tired of staying at home. We have graduates that are tagged hanging graduates. They cannot graduate. And that is why we have decided that if we do today, next week federal government is meeting ASU's national executive. Let them come to a common ground next week. If they don't come next week, we will come back to the streets, and that time is going to be very tough.
Well, the effect has been enormous because apparently I've been at home. I've spent nothing less than 2 years in one level since 2020. I spent 2 years in 400 level. I'm spending another 2 years in 500 level again. And I've been paying rent. Even in this course of these 4 years, I've been paying rent. I keep paying rent. I keep spending money as a student. And even the effect is beyond personal pain.
You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break. How NSCDC arrests 52-year-old for kidnap, murder. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Let's take a look at some of our major stories. You heard that President Muhammadu Buhari orders FEC members with political ambitions to resign. We also told you that APC presidential aspirant Adamu Garba withdraws from race after raising 83.2 million naira in donations. Moving to security. A blast suspected to be a bomb explosion has occurred in Jalingo, the capital of Taraba State. Reports say the explosion, which occurred on Tuesday at about 9 p.m., took place few meters away from the military base located in Jalingo metropolis. Confirming the incident, the State Police Command, through its public relations officer Usman Abdullahi, said casualties were yet to be recorded. Operatives of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Bauchi Command, have arrested 52-year-old Kabir Abdullahi for allegedly kidnapping and killing his neighbor's 5-year-old daughter after collecting a ransom of 150,000 naira. The suspect, who is a resident of Narabi in Toro local government area of the state, is said to have connived with one Yawale, a 45-year-old resident of Rimin Zayam in same area, to commit the crime. Adamu Imam has the report.
Parading the suspect at the command's headquarters, the state commandant Nuruddin Abdullahi told journalists that the suspect kidnapped the victim in front of their father's house and took her to a bridge where they strangled her and put the remains in a sack and buried her in an uncompleted kitchen.
This happened on 23rd April 2022 at 1900 hours. Information was received on the alleged kidnapping of a 5 years old girl named Khadija Abdullahi, popularly known as Ilham, at Sabon Garin Narabi, for a local government, Bauchi State, swung into action and arrested the following suspects: Kabir Abdullahi, male, 52 years, of Narabi village, and Alhaji Awale, male, 45, of Rimin Zayan, all in Toroloto government.
He noted that after a series of negotiations, the suspects were paid the sum of 150,000 naira as ransom, which was collected by Alhaji Awali in the bush at Narabi village. The father of the deceased, Abdullahi Yusuf, said he was shocked when he discovered that his trusted friend and neighbor was a killer. We came from God, and we surely return unto him. This man tied my daughter's neck with a rope until she died. We had to cut the rope with a knife. I had decided to bury her like that, but people around prevailed on me to give her a decent burial. So we had to take her body and bury in a nearby cemetery. That gave me some relief. In another development, Abdullahi told journalists of the arrest of two suspects, Isia Lawal of Deriko village and Musa Ado of Babale village, near Jos, the Plateau state capital, and assured that the command will not rest on its oars until crime is brought to the barest minimum in the state. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Nigerian women play a vital role in food production in Nigeria. According to reports, women constitute 70 to 80% of the agric labor force in the country and are often faced with myriads of challenges. Fatima Saleh reports how Kaduna State government empowered some women with farming materials. The report.
Although a high percentage of women are engaged in agricultural activities, they are often neglected and may have to rely on the old system of farming, finding difficult to access loans without male guarantors. To change the narrative and give them a boost, some women in agribusiness in Kaduna State are empowered by the state government with farming materials and equipments such as maize seedlings, beans, granules, amongst others. While distributing the materials, the Deputy Governor Hajia Hadiza Balarabi charged them to make judicious use of the materials.
I congratulate the beneficiaries of this support, and I urge you to make judicious use of the seeds and the materials that will be given to you today. Remember that to the one who is faithful with little, more will be added.
Attention is being given to women's entrepreneurship as part of the empowerment agenda and to expand opportunities for them. The goal for us would be to help women access the knowledge, tools and connections they need to achieve greater economic independence.
Commissioner of Agriculture Kaduna State says this will assist in attaining food sufficiency as well as create jobs for women.
The effort of Kaduna State to ensure that this has complemented the efforts being done by Kaduna State government to improve agricultural productivity and production, to empower women, to improve and enhance livelihood and address poverty issues.
Reports say women produce the bulk of food for domestic consumption and are believed to be the drivers of food processing, marketing and presentations. Fatima Saleh, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
On the foreign scene, Palestinian Health Ministry says Israeli forces have shot dead Al Jazeera's journalist Shirin Abu Akleh in the occupied West Bank. She was hit by a live bullet on Wednesday while covering Israeli raids in the city of Jenin and was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Al Jazeera says the circumstances of her death are not clear, but videos of the incident show that Abu Akleh was shot in the head. Abu Akleh was a very well-respected journalist who has been working with Al Jazeera since the beginning of the Second Palestinian Intifada in 2000. Abu Akleh was wearing a press vest when she was killed. And finally, Ukraine said Wednesday its forces were gradually pushing Russian troops away from the city of Kharkiv, the country's second largest city, as the U.S. House of Representatives emphatically approved a $40 billion aid package. Signaling a bipartisan commitment to thwart Russia's invasion, the United Nations said 30% of jobs in Ukraine, 4.8 million in total, have been lost since the Russian invasion, with the outlook even worse if the war drags on. The Moscow installed authorities in Ukraine's southern Kherson region said Wednesday they plan to appeal to President Vladimir Putin for the region to become part of Russia. Kherson was the first major city to fall to Russian forces after the start of their military operation in Ukraine on February 24. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.